No, I asked you.
Are you ready?
So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
We're back. Banks versus Davis. First of probably 2 recordings today, so appreciate y'all joining us live on YouTube, like we are every single Sunday. So you can also find us on Patreon, Banks versus Davis, where we got bonus content that we can only do there. Otherwise, the copyright claims will get us the fuck out. But we are joined by a special guest. Please introduce yourself to the people, if you will.
Hello. My name is Seindole, aka reload.relive, aka corporate baddie, aka leader of the Big Booby Fan Club. What's up? We're starting off like that. Banks is looking at me like, wait, what?
Excellent.
Excellent. I'm also the proud owner of the Well Minority, which is a mental health resource page on Instagram. You can also follow us on Twitter, providing mental health resources to those who need it the most. And I'm very happy to be here today. I was gonna say.
Why did you do that accent?
Because coming to America, you never see
Yeah.
Coming to America.
Why did you do that accent? Why was that?
Okay. You know
Because what was that? Because I'm talking like my people. That's the accent of my people.
What do you
Liberian
mean,
American.
people?
African American.
Okay.
I'm African American.
Round of applause, Davis. Go ahead.
See, here you go again. This is what I'm like. There are legit 2 people every week who will be like, come on, do something. It's Fam and then Banks. Fam will say something like the one a couple months ago about Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. He was like, that was drip. And I'm like, like, no. And then every week this man tries to get me to say something. And I'm like, nope. I see him tuning up the band for the sweet chin music. I'm not falling for it. Like, yeah, he'll like, I can hear you. I know what's coming. Like, this is what happens when you pod with the same person for over 2 years. Now you know their tricks and all that. But off air, we were talking about Fast and the Furious, and you had said you hadn't seen the one with Eva Mendes, Too Fast, Too Furious. But I was wondering, did you get more into it when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got involved?
No, I got more into it when they did Drift, and I thought Drift was pretty interesting because I'm very much into the Japanese culture. So I was like, of course I'm gonna watch this. They're talking about drifting in cars. So I'm gonna watch this, and I love that. And then the first one, I just remember it being about like family and like all that stuff. And then when it got back to what it was supposed to be, because I felt like after the first movie, franchises always lose their spark because they go in a weird direction. So when 4 came out, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. But then I realized in 4 they went back to the basics. And I was like, okay, Paul Walker came back, Vin Diesel was back, they had the whole arc about family, and then like with Letty dying and everything, I was like, okay, like now we're back into it. And then The Rock came and he was being The Rock. So
But wow. I'm joined with a fellow Rock hater. I mean, even though I don't hate. Here's again. So to preface this, last year we did Fast Summer. No, don't put me on the joke. Get the I got control of the screen. Last year we did Fast Summer. So for 10 straight weeks we did commentary tracks to the 10 films. And over the course, once Dwayne Johnson joined, I week after week buried this man for what he was doing. I'd never had a problem with The Rock as a wrestler. Dwayne Johnson, the actor and the social media personality, is just a despicable piece of shit. Like, I can't handle him. and the like propaganda he spews, like it just gets tiring after a while. I'll respect like his inspiration to people, and that's awesome. But like the phoniness a lot of the time, we're doing this, we're doing that. I'm so great to be here, but like nah, I can see again. He's a wrestler. Like we can see you working us a mile away.
Wow.
But when he joined,
that's how you really feel.
But when he joined, it was good at first because he was a character. Then he morphed into Dwayne Johnson. By the time Furious 7 came around, where like he's watching footage of him playing football, and then in Fate of the Furious, he's basically him with a daughter, and then Hobbs and Shaw's he's now Samoan. When before he was kind of like this guy who was maybe from the South because he was talking with an accent like this, like how he used to when he was a wrestler. Like for a while, you remember he's like, "I am the Rock," like. But
or he.
So
I guess you don't like Ballers then.
But no, I thought Ballers was good because that was a little bit more him leaning into it, and he was legit trying to act in a way. I think it was him living out again the fantasy of a life he wanted to have in terms of playing professional football and that he didn't get to. So I don't hate him for that, and I mainly like Ballers for John David Washington. Anyway, I thought he was kind of the heart and soul of that show, and that's why when Banks and I when we first started, we talked about Tenet nonstop, just because we were so hyped about it. And he's amazing in Tenet. He was amazing in Black Klansman. And Malcolm and Marie, he was good in it, but that movie as a whole was just kind of like a mess. But yeah, Ballers, I didn't really have a problem with. A lot of the stuff he's done since then, all the memes on social media, you can see he just kind of wears the same outfit, which is cargo pants and a tan shirt. And it is what it is at this point. I've just come to grips, but that's why Black Adam. He's not getting my money for Black Adam. I know Banks will see Black Adam, but he won't get his money either.
You already know. Shouts out to the camera. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
There's a lot going on this week too, entertainment wise, but more for me personally. But
speak on it.
All right. A lot of video games.
Fucking beat.
Can you say hi to my drunk uncle?
Hi, drunk uncle. What you drinking on?
Everything.
Milk.
Yeah.
No.
Milk and you say mixed. But I will watch Black Adam, but I ain't paying. I'll pay for the internet bill. That's it.
So my thing is, I have not been to the movies since the pandemic. So everything will be on. If it's not on Cinema HD, I'm not watching it.
You gave up the website.
No, I haven't found one. I mean, I always check out OpenLoad, but OpenLoad it takes a while for them to get the quality ones. I'm like, I'll check back. But again, so often, I've stopped watching like movies online and all that. I'm just like when it comes out on like HBO Max, and if I'm paying for all these apps, I gotta at least watch them when they're on there. Like,
yeah.
I
can't affect my computer.
No, I got you on the site.
Like I need.
It's funny you guys talk about It's funny you guys talk about Fast and Furious because at one point it was all on Peacock, so that's the only way I was like getting to relive it. But again, I'm not watching the second one. Again,
you should.
It's not memorable. I like stuff that like if I watch it, I'm gonna enjoy it.
Okay, now you're just now.
Yeah, you just
that's how we met, Banks and I. We had a bond over the Fast and in a way we were in Black Announce table. Shout out to Cody, Dre, Eve, Nasuku. We were in their Discord. And Banks and I were chatting, and then one day we're like, let's do a podcast about John Cena because he and I both believe John Cena is the GOAT and all that. And then he was getting hyped.
Birthday.
Oh wow.
April 23rd.
Wow. That's interesting.
Wow. That might be the title.
Wow.
Happy birthday. April 23rd. And then when I looked at his, and it's funny because Banks and I were talking about like zodiacs and stuff.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. No.
It's Taurus for me.
You just aired this man out because Banks, why were you talking about zodiacs, Banks?
I got you right now, pal. Let me explain to y'all why. I now don't mean this last word that he say.
For the bitches, nigga. Bitches.
Not calling her that word. I'm just saying. That's why.
You trying to pull that? See, I'm a Taurus, and by that it means I have a kind heart, but such a gentle being with like not you trying to pull that shit, but then on Twitter like all these women want to know is your birth chart, the time you were born. Not like like
this is true. Very much.
Because to some people it matters.
That's what I'm saying. It's for the women. You feel me? When we saying that, we saying it joking matter when we using the B word, but you know, it's for the women. You feel me?
Right.
Like 50 Cent said, shouts out to 50.
That's the interesting thing. When we had Keeks, shouts out to Keeks a while back, we had asked her about zodiacs and all that. In a way, my mom was kind of prepping me for this because, like, when I was young, she'd be like, Dave was like, here's your horoscope for today. I'd be like, Mom, I don't know what any of this means. Like, in a just paper. She's like, no, like, you gotta look, like, it speaks, like, all this and all that. Like, she was like really
characteristics.
And into astrology and all that. Again, I'm like some dumbass kid. Like, I don't care about any of this. And then once I got older, I looked into it once. I'm like, holy shit! Like after I had been through some stuff to like have experience and all that, I like it all kind of like lined up in a way. It was like able to like have some actual backing where I'm like, shit, this is me. I always say this once, but Channing Tatum famously like had a freak out about astrology once, where like he looked up like his sign and like on this app or whatever, and it gave him like this whole detailed thing, and he posted a video where like he was just freaking out, like how do you all know this? Like how is like, and I think that's also like when he was going through some shit, but like it just shocked him like how astrology can be accurate at times. It's always 50-50 though. But
yeah. So I think where it gets pushy is like people, I'm like, oh, I'm a Taurus. So I automatically know like I have so many goals and aspirations and I'm very persistent, but you can't tell me shit sometimes. But at the same time, then you lose me when you get into like the sun and the moon and the rising. I'm like, we're not getting into all this
of it,
because I don't need to know. Like, I don't need to know if I'm an asshole or not. I just know that whatever the core of a Taurus is, that's what I am. Like, I don't need to know like the sun, the moon, the Virgo, the Venus. I don't. You lost me there. Like looking at my own chart, I was like, no, I'm not gonna understand this. Not going to try to understand it. Just leave that where it's at.
But do you do the thing where like you try to stay away from the other signs once they reveal themselves, or no?
Oh, absolutely. 1000%. Mind you, like it's funny because I have two brothers who are Scorpios. I have a nephew who's born a day after my younger brother. And I think because of that, like Scorpios are just off the list. Like I will never in a million years, I would literally rub my boobs across a hot iron grill than date another Scorpio.
Well, don't do that. Don't do that.
Like I just won't. Like it's just off the table.
Banks, get back here.
Come back here, Banks. I just cannot do it. But other than that, yeah, I have to do that for my own sanity.
I kind of understand that a little bit, even though it's the whole thing like you're basing this off again what paper says. It's not to get into like the same thing with religion because I don't want to offend you either. But like,
it's not even paper; it's just my experience. Like I'm just
if you had a bad experience with one before, right. That can like
I've had a bad experience with 3. Like we're good.
3 Scorpios or like 3 signs or like never again like.
No, we're like 3 Scorpios.
Oh, okay. So yeah, now again, like you have like the what's it called, like the scientific method, like you prove that to be accurate. Yeah.
Well, I give everybody a chance, but if you start like showing who you are and I don't like it, then it's like, nah, we're not going forward. We're not pass and go. You can keep your $200. We're not doing it.
I think it's the thing where like. See, I'm a February Pisces, and I think that's the other part that gets mixed up is like which half you're on. Like,
right.
Like I think August Virgo, right, versus September Virgo is a whole thing too. And I've had experiences with both in a way. One was kind of a nightmare, the other was like perfect, and that's the thing where like the one where like it's supposed to match like that. And it's again a whole thing where like you're putting your mind and your heart in a way into like what's this like. It's a thing now more often like we get out of the way, like, so what sign are you again? And then like you can kind of detail like going forward. Like so like when stuff starts to get in the way, like, oh, this makes a lot of sense now, but you're not trying to pay attention to that. Like one time I knew a girl sign, and then like as it progressed, even though I looked up before, I'm like, oh, this started to make sense, like why we're a bad match. But I just kept trying to go for it because I'm like, I'm not gonna pay attention to like again what the paper says. It's just paper, like who knows? But then like after like 3 or 4 times going, I'm like, yeah, this really isn't working. And that's where I'm like, astrology can be right sometimes, which is
crazy.
But Banks, speak on it. Come on, just stop being the quiet man over here.
No, I love it. I'm loving the interaction that y'all having. You feel me?
Oh my gosh.
Let me just do producing shit. No. I've done the whole natal chart thing, and it's a fucking sun, moon, rising at the top, Mars, Saturn to the third power, and all that stuff. So I don't get that deep into it. It's people that actually break that down, and I understand it, but I'm not gonna remember all that shit. But I do believe in astrology because it's the time that you're born, the time that you leave, the time that's supposed to take place, and everybody has a turn, and that's the only time we get to know when somebody has a turn in whatever phase in their life, just based on that. Yeah. So the numbers never lie. But to go off Greek, you know what I mean? Because didn't it start like in the Greek mythology or Greek whatever, Taurus, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not listening to the Greeks. I don't even like the salads.
Oh. Don't even
got it.
You're just ridiculous.
Sean, that's why I love Sean. He making sense. That's what it is. It's just like, it's a guidelines for life.
Guideline for life,
yeah. And that's where I'm not in religious aspect. I don't blame anyone that is.
Shout out to all the fish. Yeah, we don't do E over here. Sorry.
But yeah, it's that thing too. I got with me not being religious. I do believe in like fate and the universe talking to you and all this and that. Like, you know, you gotta believe in something at least. But I just don't believe in what a book will say. I think the things happen for a reason, or you meet the person at the right time or the wrong time. Mm-hmm. This and all that. It just, you know, that's how it goes. Unfortunately, it's not always that simple. Banks, you got something to add?
You said what?
You got something to add?
No, you're absolutely right. Everything happens for a reason, season, whatever you just said. And yeah, it's like, I don't think the compatibility thing is, you know what I mean? I don't understand that, because I done met many of women that's been everything. They've been everything. I ain't never met a woman that wasn't the sign. So, and we was compatible until I fucked it up. So that was on me.
Fucked it up.
Maybe it was a Sagittarius in me. You heard about strategy, Sagittarius men, sweetie.
I have, but I'm also cool with most Sagittarius. No, I think they're cool. Is what I think they base. The only experience I've had with them is that it's hot and it's cold, but it just depends on how you like your weather.
Here you go. Y'all read it to that.
It's hot and but that's most people. That's most people. But what I'm known from Sagittarius is like, listen, I can be Cabo one moment and then I could be Alaska. That's the only thing that some people can't understand. But if you can weather both, then you're good. But if you like, I'm not dealing with hot you and I'm not dealing with cold you, then yeah, you're gonna have a problem.
There you go. Speak on it. It's take it or leave it with us.
Oh my
exactly. And that's
we either one way or the other way. And if we that way, we all in. If we the other way, we all in. It ain't no in between with us. And we just straightforward, no lying. So Period.
If you can't deal with that,
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
I don't know. How did the fish do about stuff like that, Davis? Do y'all swim one way down the canal or the other way down the canal?
Well, that's the whole point of the Pisces. It's two fish and swimming in opposite directions and all that, which is the part, again, similar to that aspect. But that's where like being super emotional comes into play. This is why I always said, like, that's why Ric Flair cries all the time, because he's a Pisces. He's born his birthday's a day after mine. But in the aspect, again, like, we're either kind of, again, all in or not. It's that thing too, like, I think love at first sight happens a lot. It definitely has happened to me a few times. And there have been times where, like I said before, like, you know it's not, but you're trying to make it happen just because the sake of, like, being the romantic. You don't want things to, like, not be that way. You know what I mean? Like, like when I broke up with someone, it was like, oh, I've never wanted to be the person that breaks up with someone, but like, I could tell, like, this is not what I want. Like, it's not what I'm feeling. Which comes again to being like caring about someone else's feelings, which is the ultimate thing about it. Is like, you care about other people's feelings more than your own. Like, I don't want to be the person that hurts. So like, I don't want to be the person that hurts the feelings, because I'm the one who always gets hurt. So now I'm like on the opposite side of that and feel even worse. it's a whole lot of like Catholic guilt in a way, even though I'm not Catholic, but just carries around that with you as well.
You say period.
No, I ain't like you, nah. I ain't gonna pull that off.
Are you the kingfish while holding the title?
Listen, I won this title at Extreme Rules, fair and square.
You won that title?
Yeah, I beat Fam, Math, Cal, Mimi.
Go ahead. Do I gotta put you on the Super Gel screen?
No, I'm just saying I won the BRP predictions title. That's what this is. Again, our names are on the back, right there.
Nice.
But anyway, so again, you more often, and this is how I've known you by seeing you with those wrestling girls. And what would you say is your favorite thing about wrestling? I don't want to ask the generic like favorite wrestler, favorite match, and all that, but like wrestling in a way like you can like the action about it, the drama about it, the over the topness, like how it can be both real and cartoony. Like, what's your favorite thing about wrestling?
To be really honest here for a second, I got into wrestling because I wanted to be one of the boys because like I said, I have brothers. So they watched it, I watched it, and the more and more I started to realize, like, actually, this is really cool. Like, people are doing moves and doing things that normal people aren't doing. It's exciting. I like the thrill of most things, but for me, what kind of was a plus, and I'm not gonna lie, was drama. Like, I always compared. I say that wrestling was like a soap opera, and it's funny because then when South Park did the episode.
Yeah, the Wrestling Takedown Federation. Yeah,
it's like slowly but surely burned into like a stage play, like a Tyler Perry play, or like a Max Leone play. And
it's opera, yeah, because they show like Vince McMahon with the glasses.
Opera, and then they had like the guys, the country, like, and I don't want to call them yaks, but Canadian. Sorry, the part Canadian me calls them like. What do you call you call them rednecks?
Hillbillies, hicks, rednecks, yeah.
They had like
Scott Steiner calls them something else.
Exactly. But we're not gonna do that. But they had like
white
the
trash.
wine. They were like, we can't wait to see what's got. I'm like, what the hell is
what
this?
was that?
And they had
they're like, they took her, James.
They're like Stan and all of them, and they had Cartman in a wig, and he was like talking about he had abortions. And I was just, you have to watch this episode of South Park. It's the dumbest thing, but it's the funniest thing because then you turn on like Triple H like marrying Stephanie while she's unconscious, and I'm like, what am I watching? Like it's kind of like a soap opera.
I think I just found out that wrestling was scripted and all that, and then saw that episode at all. Because I started it because it's I think 2009 when that episode airs, and like around 2009 is when I started like pieced it like, like you see those YouTube videos of like, here's why wrestling's taking like it shows like Randy Orton doesn't even touch John Cena's head for the punk kick, and I'm like, and he pins him 1, 2, 3. I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't look good. Like even though you'd always kind of been told as a kid like it's fake and all that. And my dad, he was awesome. Would never be like, it isn't. He saw how much I enjoyed it, so he would just keep it going. And he was the person who like got me into it. But yeah, that episode of South Park breaks it down to a T where like people just love the drama and over the topness about it. Because then at the end, when they actually start wrestling, people are like, "What the fuck is this?" They get so pissed off that they're just fighting. Which always speaks like, do you actually like wrestling for the wrestling, like the real hip hop, as we say at BRP, like New Japan, British wrestling, or do you like the WWE aspect where again cartoon characters or someone driving a monster truck over a car while someone's in it, or a guy who puts on a mask,
put on a mask, and or like somebody gets set on fire,
or a dummy, or they cut away and it's a dummy that gets set on fire.
Or somebody like, what's funny? It's funny because it was like an episode of SmackDown, and mind you, I'm like a poor kid with no cable, so Raw wasn't even a thing until like John Cena like was the champion for like the third time. So like we're watching SmackDown, right? And somebody's being buried alive was match. So my poor grandmother, who doesn't understand, she doesn't understand anything that's going on, and she's like, next thing I know, she's watching me watch it, and then I hear her go downstairs and telling my mom that I'm watching people die and get buried. And I'm like, my mom's going to say, she's like, what are you watching, blah, blah, you should be watching. I'm like, no, Mom, it's a match. Like, the person that loses gets buried alive. And my mom just walks out and she's like, just do me a favor, don't watch it in front of your grandmother. Don't do that again. Just don't. She was like, please just explain. I was like, and mind you, my grandmother, God rest her soul, she didn't speak any English. So like I had to have my older brother tell my grandmother what's going on. And then she looks at me. And then like the next week I catch my grandmother watching Booker T and she's cheering on Booker T. And so I'm just like, wait, a week ago you didn't want me watching this, but then not this week. You're like, yeah, Booker T, hit him. I'm like,
wait,
okay.
you fall for like the story aspect of it again, and then like when the action gets involved,
Right.
yeah, you're like beat his ass, like after like you see the story happen, you want the match again to play out that way. You fall for like
exactly, like I said, God rest her soul. But I realized after a while she had her favorites. So like when Randy Orton was on there, because of course he was the bad guy, she wasn't for him. But then you had Hurricane up there. And she's like pissed that he lost. So it was just like, are you more of a fan than me at this point? Because I'm like,
she was mad Sugar Shane Helms didn't go over.
Exactly. So it was like it was a good time in my youth, and I stuck with it for a while. And then like when women started getting involved slowly, I was a huge Lita mark. Like I was obsessed with Lita, like obsessed. Like I care less about the Hardys. I watched for Lita. Like I watched for her to black flip off the top rope. I thought her pregnancy storyline was the weirdest thing ever.
I'm 9 years old watching, and like she has to be with Kane, and then she kind of falls in love with him, and then the whole like he loses
it broke
the baby.
my heart that they.
But I don't even know like losing a child means at that point. She's like, I don't have the child anymore, and I'm just like, what's going on? Like, yeah, that's what I meant. Like when her and Edge had live sex again, I'm like 11 years. I'm like a month away from being 11. I'm just like, so what? I'm like looking around like, so what's going on really? Like,
again, I didn't even get a chance to like get into that because it meant I would have turned it on. My parents would have been like, no, go do some math.
That's the reason my mom didn't want me to watch that. I would watch it at my dad's. It was kind of like not a don't tell your mom thing, even though my dad did have moments of like, don't tell your mom like we did this or that, but like wrestling was like it's only allowed at my dad's. My mom didn't like it, but then she still ended up loving Dwayne Johnson, especially like when he became an actor. She loved The Rock, and I'm just like, but he's a wrestler. Like,
he's
so
a wrestler.
I'm like, it's not okay for me to watch wrestling. We can watch Gridiron Gang, like.
We could watch
Gridiron Gang.
I saw that in theaters.
Like I think she rented that because like she's like, oh, I love The Rock, and I'm like, he's a wrestler. Like,
yeah, that's a depressing movie.
People are like, oh my god, like Pacemaker with John Cena is so good. I'm like, you guys, like, he was a wrestler. Like he was a wrestler.
Well, you can again tell like it all like when the ones that actually make it again, like Batista being such a great actor. Again, like. Even though it was hard to see back then, it's not like he was a horrible promo, but like you just didn't see he kind of had this either softer side or the serious side to him, because more often than not he was kind of supposed to be this baby face, again, the animal champion. And then kind of towards the end when he was the heel wearing again all like the clothes from Express with like the
douchebag.
Yeah, and it worked. He like figured it out. But like him being this douchebag, but also like being twice the size of everyone else, like kind of didn't fit. Like someone like MJF has to be a douchebag because like he's undersized and has to do all this. But like Batista being like 3 times the size,
muscle bound douchebag does not work.
No, it worked. But just also like funny, like you like in dressing like again like the old denim fit. Like what the fuck's going on here? He was ahead of his time with that. Like him now. He'd be unstoppable. It's a thing where like you take people at a time, like certain NBA players or NFL players, and like put him now. Will they succeed? I think his character would definitely succeed now. All the fits he had on.
Oh yeah, I went to a Catholic school. You weren't allowed to have any of that stuff. You weren't allowed to have hats. He's talking about like band T-shirts. Like you weren't allowed to have like wrestling anything in my school. It wasn't like the freedom I got wasn't like until. I want to say I didn't have that freedom until college. Like even in like I've been in Catholic schools from pre-K to 12, and I wasn't allowed to do any of that.
Yeah, because I had a DX shirt, boy.
And they sent you home.
ASAP. And then my grandmother got mad at me. I'm like, dog, you bought the shirt. And I said it straight up. I got my ass beat. You bought the shirt.
but literally, like, I was telling this on the Thirsty Thursdays. Shout out to those wrestling girls with Krista and Patricia, but I bought the Rolling Stones. Queen PR.
I legit always call her Krista B and Queen PR.
Krista B and Queen PR. It was funny because I was telling them the story of how they like wrestling had a spread in Rolling Stones, and the Matt Hardy, Jeff, and Lita had like a spread, and her spread was super sexy. Like she was in straight up a bra, underwear, and fishnets in the ring, and she was like sandwiched between the two of them. And it like I brought the magazine to school because I wanted to impress somebody, and they took the magazine, and for some way, how somebody else had access to it, and the teachers found out, and they asked who bought the magazine, and they found out it was me. So I had to, like, mind you, I hate staying and waiting for my mom. I'm scared shit of my mom. So, but thank God, you know, God was on my side. My father showed up, and so they explained it to my dad, and so my dad didn't say anything to me. I'm like shitting bricks at this point. I get in the car, and my dad's like, "Why'd you take the magazine to school?" And I'm like, "My friends want to see it." He's like, "Yeah, but when I buy you something, you don't take it to school." He was like, "You can't go back to school tomorrow. You're suspended for the day, but don't tell your mother." He's like, we're just going to tell you you're sick. So go in the house, go straight to your room. I'm keeping this in the car because my dad had a truck that, like, he had tools. So if he buried it in the back, you weren't going to find it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had to pretend I was sick because if I told my mom, the whole wrestling thing would have been a wrap. Like, it'd have been a wrap.
Something similar to that is, like I said, like my dad would take me more often when he picked me and my brother up on Fridays. We'd go to Toys R Us. I'd always get like a wrestling figure. My brother would get like a G.I. Joe or something. And then sometimes, like when we go to Best Buy, like Fry's, I'd get a wrestling DVD. And then like I snuck 2 DVDs to my mom's one time and like hid them. And one time she found them. She's like, "What are these doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, great. Like I'll bring them back." And one of them was SummerSlam 2003, and it has like Sable half naked, but like the the SummerSlam logo is covering
with
parts,
like
yeah. And then she's like, what this? So, something similar to that again, like your Rolling Stone covers. I had a Raw magazine that had Edge and Lita in like 06 again, like when Lita had like the revealing top, and my grandma had bought it, but then I was like for some reason in the laundry room, and her and the neighbor walked in, and the neighbor was like, "What's this?" And my grandma's like, "Oh, it's his wrestling magazine." She's like, "You let him read this?" And she's like, "It's just wrestling." Like my grandma's the type of grandma was like, whatever you want, you can get, like the spoil again, like how grandmas are supposed to, like she like spoiled me and all that.
Right.
But she was just kind of like, yeah. I mean, it doesn't look the best, but like it's just wrestling. Like it's always fun again because it was much more sexualized then than it is now. But we sexualize it on the timeline. We're like, damn, look at Bailey, or like, damn, like look at Roman Reigns. Like we are
They're
the
more
ones who,
athletic. Yeah.
The product isn't sexual. We the people, because again, the Attitude Era and more or less the Ruthless Aggression Era, I always say, turned us into these deviants.
Krista says the Attitude Era fucked me up, and I agree with her 1,000%.
No, I think it's the Ruthless Aggression Era, like because again, they were doing live sex on TV, and then like Matt Hardy and Edge and Lita, like they had a love triangle again, like a man was a cuckold.
I know.
I think more so now has made some people like that. Like the Attitude Era was like, all right, this is some wild stuff, but we kids, and in hindsight, it is wild. And then the Ruthless Aggression Era, but now, like Dave was saying, you got Bailey, I mean, every time we see Sasha Banks, everybody's saying something. Every time I see Naomi, I'm about to bite my phone. So
in the product, yeah, it's not the product. Like they aren't having angles like they used to. Like they're not having like they basically did a decent proposal one time with Jamie Noble, Wilson, and Billy Gunn. They're not running that back with like Bianca Belair, Montez Ford, and
I don't see that happening.
Chad Gable. They're not doing it, even though they tried that a while back with like the Jimmy Uso, Naomi, and the Miz thing in a way, or like Mandy Rose and Jimmy Uso, and like they've tried it before. Like someone's trying to steal another man's, like that's a man's wife, as JR would always be like.
Right.
Not what you always say. Get your own goddamn husband.
No. You're an asshole for that. But yeah, I think that's the crazy part. Like in the crazy angles, last summer, as the pandemic was still going on, we had Cody Dre and Eve on, and we talked about like the crazy angles because they were resurfacing on Twitter all the time. And Muhammad Hassan, that angle was like the biggest thing. That was like, what the fuck were they thinking? They had like a guy who was a terrorist or even though he wasn't supposed to be terrorist, but like bring out again the people in the mask and attack the Undertaker. Like
I remember that. Like
again, like what were they thinking back then? And like we said, like they had abortion angles and all these crazy things. Like I see Sean Roberts said like there were no guns, but again, Brian Pillman had a gun. He was like, Austin, you come here.
Brian Pillman had a gun, and what was it? A lot went on. Like a lot of stuff goes on that, like as a kid, I'm 99% sure that I should have like been watching, but for some reason under the radar, we ended up watching it anyway. Like the whole, I'll never forget like Tori Wilson having her dad be involved with freaking Dawn Marie. The weirdest. That's to me is this. I was like, yo, it's one thing to like mess with her dad, and then the longevity of it. Like the longevity of it, like he died, and I thought he really died.
Well, that's how they would play it up again, like.
And then like they had her go to the funeral, and her and Dawn Marie like fought, and it was like then the feud was just cut. I was like, wait a minute, like you got somebody's dad who's dead. What is going on here? But now, like,
did he pop the bean? That's why he went out.
Like, and it happened on TV. Like they had their little honeymoon, and she was like sexy in front of this old man. Like, mind you, there's no discrimination to old people. I know a lot of old people that still get it in.
I was gonna say it still happens to this day. You see young, like Robert Kraft's married like a 40-year-old woman.
But to me, it was just like it was a rub dig, and you did all this to extend their feud, and then he dies, and then they have their match and it's cut, and I'm like, what did I just witness here? Like, did we just not? Like, y'all forgetting that this man just died? Like, y'all just gonna cut? That's when I was just like, okay, I'm confused. Is this for real or is this kayfabe? And it's like, then after that, you had the evolution of like, bite this and dirt sheets and stuff like that. So then some of the stuff you started like, even like we talked about the Matt Hardy, the Edge and Lita thing. I didn't even realize she really cheated on her man. I thought it was all kayfabe. And then I go to school and people are like, yo, did you realize it's on the internet? He was on MySpace and he's on YouTube. He put out this video and I watched the video and I'm like, wait, they dated in real life?
This Marvin Rooms type video.
Yeah, I didn't even know that they were together in real life. I didn't know that Lita had really cheated on him. I didn't know any of that. Did I need to know it? Not really. Because y'all broke kayfabe. I was good with the kayfabe. I was good with thinking that, you know, Lita had tricked Kane and decided to get with Edge. I was fine with that. I didn't need Matt Hardy to show up in Jersey and tell WWE to kiss his ass. Because I didn't know if it was real or not. I didn't know any of it. So now that we're older and we're realizing that all this stuff that we thought was real is not, I'm just like, oh, well, that, like, it was good when I was a kid. Now it's like I'm fighting.
Yeah, do you miss that part of it? Because like that's the thing, it's the part now where like it's just like a regular TV show. Like if you watch House of the Dragon or if you watch Peacemaker again, like you can know like the production of it, the writers, these two actors don't get on. Do you like that aspect of it now, or do you kind of wish it was before? Like you fell for the spell of like, oh, what's going on? Like because that's the thing more often than not. Is like you just realize at the end of the day it is a TV show, and some people try to just stick to the story and not look at everything on the outside, whether they are in like a podcasting space or not. And it could be tricky because if you just want to review it as a show, I think that'd be too difficult.
Yeah.
Even though I respect the people that try, again, it's better more often than not. It's better to not get involved in the dirt sheets and all that because at the end of the day, who knows what's true except the people themselves, and that's why they go out of their way to say no, that's not the story. This is the story, and they have the right to, just like the NBA with the player empowerment. Like these people can dictate their own lives because that's the power we have now. Again, that's the whole point of social media, and everyone can speak up. You don't just have to let the journalists, because at the end of the day, who are they and what are their motives? But
yeah, I miss it in a big way because for me, I was there to watch wrestling just to watch wrestling. Like I can give a shit all how many dogs or who's married to who, but I think where it gets blurred, is that now the wrestlers are also like, all right, I'm just playing a character, y'all. Because let's be real, wrestling fans are fucking crazy. Like they're psychos. I'm not. They're crazy. So like, imagine poor Randy Orton, who's turned heel more times than I've worn eyeshadow, walks to an airport with his kid, and people are attacking him for what he did to Triple H's wife. Now he has to explain to these fans that, hey, that was just a character. Yeah, let me. But
again, you're also using the wrong person, because this is the guy who also shit in people's purses back in the day. So it's like I can believe this man is legit attacking a man's wife, because he seems like an asshole.
And that's the wrong person to attack, because he seemed to be open with the hands.
He got guns. Like he had to like not for nothing.
You think Randy Orton's with the shit space?
It's been documented, I think, several times.
No. The man, he was in the army and has a license to carry.
He went AWOL. Let's say
you still keep your license to carry when you're from the army. It don't matter. You can go AWOL.
Marines, yeah. That's when he had the Marine tattoo, and then he covered up with that shitty tribal tattoo.
He was
he from Missouri too, so
Missouri, it's Missouri.
He wanted in from Missouri.
So so I ain't fucking with Randy Orton, but at the same time, some of these fans are crazy. So do some of them feel like they need to show their real life? I think it's either part to be likable, but I also think it's a part to be like, listen, I'm a human. I'm here to do my job and I go home. And that's why I was always saying it's interesting, because when Total Divas came out, I thought John Cena was just John Cena with the chain, but then I see this guy dressing up in suits and taking Nikki Bella to dinner and don't want her cooking on his new island kitchen table. And I'm like, this man is really a tourist, because no, because you don't understand. Like most tourists, like the OCD aspect, like this man has built his house to a certain standard. He's in there dressed in suits. He's like, let's go out to dinner because I don't want you cooking in my kitchen. His girlfriend cooks in the kitchen, and he's sitting there freaking out that she's getting wine on Calcutta Gold Island top, and there's a special cleaner for it. I'm like, who is this guy? This is your 14th time WWE champion.
And he be cutting promos. He used to cut promos on it like, nah. See, this is what we gonna do. Like we get up at 5 a.m. workout. Like, damn, hold on, bro.
Yo, he had house rules.
To be honest, that's why I was watching.
We get up and we have breakfast. At 8 o'clock. He was like, we'll have dinner at 6. Yo, my guy. Like, is this for real or is this Kate? I don't even know who I'm looking at.
We're never going to be able to talk to him, Banks, because she just scared him away.
No, it's listen, it's funny because a lot of people didn't like John Cena. Like, he was too good. But I was like, listen, I liked him when you like
the real John Cena?
I like both of them. Like, I like John Cena. He's funny to me. Like, even when he goes on these talk shows, and I feel like it's interesting because he was like one of the few to go on late night shows. Like The Rock, it was The Rock, then him, then everybody like slowly started picking in together. And when he's on these late night shows, even before Total Divas was out, he's funny. Like, he's a hilarious person.
Was wrong about Roman Reigns being the face is he doesn't have that personality, and it's nothing against him. It's just in the right context. You see, like someone like Big E is perfect on any platform because he's an athlete.
Watching him during college football season is hilarious.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like you can see like this guy he has, and in a way they've kind of tried it with Bianca Belair, and I think it's worked off the not too good because she is an athlete. She's extremely likable. So like, there's how could you not root for her? But the Roman Reigns thing is that's why they try to force him on, and you could see like when they were trying to make Seth Rollins the guy, like no shows were really calling for Seth Rollins again. It's a hard thing to be a character and then be the character and the real person. John Cena and The Rock, they just have that natural charisma to be. That's why they're great actors in the way. That's why they can succeed in Hollywood because they're able to kill it on late night and all that. Like when John Cena was on Diesel Samaro, that's a great interview. That's one of the best interviews they had.
I know.
When he was like, because I think it was in the bonus one, but he's like, all the here's what you're gonna get in the comments. It's like, who are you guys talking to? Because they're gonna play up that you can't see me, and that's you guys are just talking to no one in the middle. And him being self-aware is what's the best part of it. But yeah, I watched I think maybe just the first 2 seasons of Total Divas just to see him on the show, because then him being my favorite wrestler of all time. But I'll see so what's this guy really like? Even though it's reality TV, still it's scripted in its way. But just what's this guy like at home? And again, the whole I'm going to wear suits 24/7, even though this man wears jorts for his day job. Like,
yeah, like
I'm going to have
from a throwback jersey to like a 4-piece Armani suit, and I'm just like,
yeah. And again, I'm going to drink wine, and you get these restaurants where like he's again the guy who's like never give up, hustle, loyalty, or like just like he's basically like Bruce Wayne and then the Batman. Like that's what's funny about
it.
Like,
and when he in the suits, he look like G.I. Joe too. Them suits be up here like tight ass suits. Them Steve Harvey suits fitting now.
The worst is when he legit had the Joker's, like the Joker colored suit. Like he had the purple suit and then like the yellow tie. Like, what's like, my guy, you got to do a better job with like the color coordination because this isn't a good look.
It's funny because he also had a blue suit with an orange tie, and I was like, what's happening? Like, is this college football season? Like, what are you doing? Like, but just to him, like, mind you, I didn't even know he had like an expensive ass car. Like, you drive a Maserati, my guy.
He had that DVD in 07 and it showed like the expensive car collection he had. I'm like, holy shit. He's like, I have all these vintage cars, and that's again, I'm not mad if he's like, listen, don't touch the countertop, don't touch anything.
But just I work at Home Depot. Like, Calcutta Gold is not cheap countertop. That's quartz countertop, honey. I wouldn't put nothing on that. Like, that would just be there just to show you that I'm rich. Like, so I could get it.
And then she's like, I want kids. He's like, you want kids to have breakfast on the countertops? Like,
if you want to do all that, we get in normal stone. We get natural stone with it.
That's why he's like, hey, go ahead and marry a dancer. Go ahead. Like, live the life you want.
Right.
Like, man dances for a living. Go.
Yeah, like he married I think he married like a neuro engineer, John Cena, who had her own company. So I was like, listen, he got his sophisticated chick. Do you, bro? It's gonna be weird now though, looking at you with a big ass chain and a hustle, loyalty, respect, and a fit back, because now I know you have a Maserati. You wear 3-piece suits to dinner, like.
That's what I love about him coming back last year and the one time this year. Is like this guy, like we see him now again on Peacemaker and Fast and the Furious, and he has an upcoming movie Argyle. Like we see him now making it in Hollywood. Yeah. Him coming back to again, slide on the jorts, put on the hat, and it's just gonna legit like, yeah. Hey, this man is a diamond selling rap artist. Like don't put shame on that album. There's some hits on there.
Wait, his album was oh Lord, I didn't even know that. His album is really diamond.
Man. Yeah.
What?
I think it's either platinum or diamond. I always forget which one it is, but it's got.
I think it's diamond.
What was the name of the album again?
You Can't See Me.
He ran that gimmick. Hey man,
yeah.
Let me see. I think it is diamond.
Yeah.
Even if it went platinum, that's still crazy.
Yeah, exactly. That a wrestler went and had a platinum selling rap album.
Like he sold more than Shaq, and Shaq was a professional basketball player and one of the greatest of all time.
Wait, is it okay? No, you guys are right.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, believe that's like the point of the show was to get together, talk about John Cena, and then one day to have John Cena on the show to talk about John Cena. Like,
I feel like John Cena though. I feel like John Cena's a good personality all around. So like, even when people are like, oh, I took a picture. Here's a picture of me by myself, but this title is up weird, and it's a picture of them with John Cena. I think those are pretty hilarious. Like when I see them on Twitter, I'm like, I'm done. Like this is way too funny.
That's what
I feel like it's funny, but yeah.
But it's that nature, like you don't want to meet like your heroes and all that. Even though I've never really met a famous person that have like an experience like, oh, they weren't what I thought they'd be, or like there's always those stories like Will Ferrell isn't as funny in real life as he is in movies, something like that. But that's what it's expected. Again, he plays a role for these movies. He can't be funny 24/7 every day. But that was the thing of people like Chris Farley and Robin Williams, is that they wanted to be funny 24/7, 365.
Where's you out? They think we supposed to be funny all the time, Queen.
You are funny, Banks.
You're funny looking.
You're a funny guy.
How am I funny?
Did you say he was funny looking?
No, you said I'm funny looking.
No, I said me. That's my line. That's my line. I can't be funny 24. We can't be funny 24/7. They expect us to be funny all the time.
Jokes on you.
You just, what names did you just say? Chris Farley and Robin Williams. We don't need to get more people. That's what happens when you want to be funny all the time. Like, it's exhausting. Like they just think we come on these podcasts and we podcast 24/7.
But that's the thing is like I think. Do you believe that the number one trait for a man is that he has to be funny? Do you believe that or no? Because I think it's they either want.
Well, it's not number one. First. It is a requirement because if I make like for example, if I make a joke and you don't laugh, one time it's fine. But I'm a jokester. Like I'm snarky as hell. Like if you don't at least crack a smile, but like okay, the chemistry is just not really gonna be there, is it? Like I'm gonna crack jokes when you start cracking jokes, and it should be like that. It should be good vibes all the way around. So if I'm cracking jokes and you're just like, "What's so funny about that?" and I'm like, "All right, well, that ship has sailed." Like sometimes, and at the same time for me too. Like I could be a bit of an airhead most of the time. So like you'll say a joke that I don't understand. I'll be like, "Wait, what?" and you'll have to explain it to me, and then I'll be like, "Oh, okay, that's funny." But then later on down the road, I'm going to just remind you that what you said was funny, and the chemistry just goes off from there. That's how it should be, I feel.
The moments of women either being a little bit spacey, and then I think there are times where I've called like, "Wait, what did you say?" and they've been like, they kind of like didn't realize, and I try to make a joke like it's okay, like like in that aspect, because again, the whole point is like be funny with someone. All that I as I say, like I'm a prick. I totally have like that sarcastic, snarky again sense of humor, but then I'll just be a riot sometimes. But also again, like I can't be funny all the time. Leave me alone. Like it's that aspect of everyday life. But like Banks said, when you're on a podcast and then people meet and realize Banks like, all right, so tell some jokes. Like
motherfucker, sometimes I don't want to talk. Excuse my language. Sometimes I don't want to talk, bro. I'm tired.
You don't want to talk?
Really? I'm Banks on the podcast. Like,
why are you doing the fucking voice of the frog from the WB? Like,
they think I'm a goddamn Mr. Show all the time.
All right, you know what? Now we're ending the show. Nope, we can't follow. Nope.
No, you didn't say it. I said it. That's how they.
I know, but I don't. See, this is what I mean. Every week, see, he won't get us canceled. He'll get us canceled. Is what we said earlier. Like
you can't get canceled.
This man shoots himself in the foot. Like, watch what I'm gonna do. Like
exactly, cheddar Bob from A Mouth.
But
no, that'll be it for this week. Thank you for joining us. It was an awesome time. We gotta have you back. Yes, we gotta have it. We also gotta have Queen PR, Patricia, and Krista.
If you have them on there, I'm gonna ask you guys to do one thing and one thing only. I'm gonna send them a text, but we're not gonna have this Rock and Austin discussion. If you watch Thirsty Thursdays, I swear to God, like I didn't have enough drink in me to deal with it because I'm doing the sober October. But them arguing about
you don't drink for
yeah. Huh? The first time I have a drink will be at their party. Once again,
sober October. What is that?
Yeah, like sober. I'm not drinking.
Who coming up with these whack ass holidays, man? We can't get off work for that shit.
It can't get, but you don't drink afterwards. It's supposed to be a way to like restart. Well, for me, it is.
Well, they have to hit the restart button a couple times on the NES because I'm about to fail later. I'm sorry. Go ahead though.
I thought you quit drinking. See, look at me trying to be like a responsible brother. Like, I thought you quit. Like,
hey, only losers quit.
You embarrass me. Like,
but yeah, like just don't talk about Rock and Austin
because
at all.
So Krista B, I assume, is pro Rock, right?
Yeah.
And then Queen PR is pro Austin, right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I mean, the two of us can go over there, or they can come over here. We can do both anyway. But like. We'll have a discussion on one platform. I have no issue discussing because it's an interesting conversation.
It is a very interesting conversation, but it's just like when they're both very passionate, and that's what I love about the both of them. They're both very, very passionate girls. Mm-hmm. So like they gonna say what the hell they have to say, and they'll like go into a full blown argument about it. And so it's like me and everybody else who just does not like. We care, but we don't care enough. They're very passionate to the point where I'm just sitting there. And me and shout out to Chris from the Face B Pod. We're just sitting there. We're like,
that was me at Thanksgiving last year with BRP and fucking else.
I think it's just some East Coast shit because me and Davis not used to this.
No, we said this before. Is that New Yorkers will just yell at each other the whole time. I'm just like, you're not gonna let me talk. Like, okay, I'll just.
And me and Davis from Cali, if you didn't know, so we like.
Well, that's where we had that laid back. Yeah, like, all right, you want to keep doing this, but then like, I'm not saying I won't get passionate. Again, anyone who watched Black Wrestling that says they saw me get passionate about 52. But yeah, it's that thing where like I'm not just gonna argue if you're being like, and this is why The Rock's better. Like,
Again,
there's a time and place for it. It's not a 24/7 though.
Right. Again, love them for that. Love their spirit for that. But it's just like, guys, like, we'll go talk about anything. Like, what's your choice of drink? Is it a Negroni? Like, what? Like, we talk about other things. We talk about so many other good things on that podcast. But it's like, when you're passionate about something, they're like passionate about it. So
that's the thing. Is like when you want to interrupt, so they can just stop. Like that was the thing I said with last year. Cody,
we try. Like I got on Twitter
and SGG Greg, shouts to that guy Greg. We're going at it, and the whole time I'm just sitting there like, I want to say something, but I'm like, no one's gonna even hear me if I say anything.
Still one of the funniest pieces of entertainment I ever seen.
Because they'd be like, "Shut up, Davis, sit down." Like,
I told the story before. I'll tell it again before we get up out of here. When I listened to that, I literally text everybody. I was in hysterics. I was laughing so hard at work, I had to go to the back. Like when y'all argue, New York people or East Coast people, when y'all argue, I laugh profusely. Like I love the Tony Ayo and Matt Halford. That shit is hilarious to me.
Oh my god! But because they're really, it's in the passion and it means well, but it's just like, guys,
you gotta love a passionate woman.
New York women.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We said this over the last few weeks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hashtag New York women are great women.
We are. I mean, I'm from Jersey, but
same thing.
That's New York adjacent.
New York adjacent. Don't let them hear you say that because they don't want to. Sometimes
what are they gonna do to me?
Sometimes
Again,
they don't.
What are they gonna do to me? They ain't gonna. You'll do nothing. They ain't gonna do nothing. Because according to Banks, everyone loves me anyway. I'm the most lovable guy.
You are.
From all these women, apparently.
Mind you, there's what's going on, and I put on Black Wrestling, and I look at you in that belt in your outfit, and I'm like, okay, be clean, honey. And you saw my tweet, and I was like, you're looking clean on this stream. All right now.
You ain't the only one that said that. What you said to me on the phone yesterday? You said, or the day before, you said Davis is a superstar, right?
No. Again, that's just where me being humble and shy. No, again, I'm just like I always say this. I have that personality. I think it's a Pisces thing. Like in class, I'd always kind of be the guy in the back of class. Like if you talk to me, I would talk to you, but I'm not just gonna be loud and talk just to do that. Like how you would see other people. Like, and then when people would talk to me, like, oh, you're pretty cool. Like again, it's happened like numerous times when I would go to like different classes, different schools. People would be that same like, oh, like. You're either like pretty smart or pretty funny, like in the lab, and like it's a thing where like I just keep to myself. I think it's what people have realized like in podcasting that I do it with, or when a few times they've met me in person. And you were at the event last year, but you and I didn't actually meet. But I wasn't as aware as like, well, I wasn't as aware as everyone that was fully there was the thing. I was only really aware of again BRP, who I was with, Brian H. Waters, Eve showed up, and again the New York list. Listeners from New York that were there too. Again, I finally met Banks for the first time. Then he dipped 10 minutes later.
Oh, you were there last year?
Exactly.
And he moves like a phantom. Like,
yeah, like it's like I look back at it, it's funny because when they started doing the promotion, getting everything together, and shout out to the Well Minority. That's my group. We're sponsoring the event along with Brian H. Waters and with with Wrestling Realm and everything. I look back at some of the pictures and I'm like, wait, Drip was there? I'm like, wait, like, I was like, wait.
Well, again, it's not hard to find like one of the three white people that were there, which is like, again, like, and that's the thing about my personality.
I wasn't trying to go there.
No, and that's the thing about my personality too is like, more often than not, I was always kind of like the one white guy in the crew because I get like things. So like, we grew up in California. Like, I grew up in a diverse neighborhood, went to diverse schools. Like, even though I live in Minnesota now, it's like complete culture shock when I first moved here. But I think like I was just always felt comfortable around like a diverse friend group and all that. Like my best friends were Filipino. Again, my neighbors were Hispanic or Black, so I just always felt comfortable like not being in a group of white people because that makes me really uncomfortable. Because the whole time, like, what are you gonna say? That I'm gonna be like I don't agree with that. Like,
I don't agree with that completely. But
yeah, and that's the thing about some family gatherings where I'm just like, oh shit, like, like, but no, that's the fun. Again, that's the funniest thing. What I always say about being a part of Black Grass and then the optics of it, and then you see me and again, people are like, is that? Do they have a white boy on there? Like, is that? And again, it gets to like, and white chicks is like, I thought this show was called Black Wrestling. What's he doing there? Like, again, you see me in these gatherings, I just kind of seem so out of place. Like, is this a child who's lost, or like does he not know where? It just kind of has that vibe sometimes. But like again, luckily, everyone looks after me and all that. Anyone who's met me,
no, you have good vibes.
Yeah.
So.
I'd hope so, at least. I'd hope, even though they're talking, man, fuck him.
Like, it's funny because when I met Banks at and shout out to Jobber Tears, when I met him at Jobber Slam and he just started talking to me, and I try and be like a fly on the wall, but like
yeah, exactly.
I have a fashion sense that like my fashion will speak before I speak. And so he's looking at me and people were like clowning me for wearing leather. Mind you, it was like 80-something degrees, but I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm here to show up the way I want to show up. And the way I want to show up is wearing compact boots and warm and leather pants that I can breathe in. And he was just like, I like your style. I like your shades. And I was like, oh, thanks. Like,
CL Banks, certified lover Banks.
I got you, pal.
I'm wrong?
Yes, extremely. I got that picture too.
So you're
not wearing shades. I got that picture too.
Like, took my shades that I sell.
Oh, see, here you go. Oh, here you go.
I took the rock looking shades. I said, let me see those.
Because of like my fashion speaks for myself. So I'm like, if people don't watch those wrestling girls in their streams, they're not gonna know who I am because I don't have a wrestling podcast. Like my thing is mental health. So I mean, everyone's really nice to me in that community. They've been really supportive of the cause. So it's like, it's no unjustified reason not to go out and support and just meet people. I'm kind of gutted that I didn't get to meet you because I am really cool with Fam, Math, and Caleb because Caleb lives like down South Jersey and I'm up. So I'm cool with them. So, I mean, hopefully you make your way back up here again soon.
I said, like,
we try to get him to move out east.
I was trying to get me to move back. We'll wait and see. But no, I was like, do you remember? This is never mind.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You might as well started.
No, but I think if I remember like what you were wearing last year, then I realized like you're the same person. I'm like, oh, again, it was like what Banks and I say about the Patrice O'Neal bit, like white guys when they see a woman, will be like, we're like, oh, like, ooh, it's not like when I like realized then I had seen you after on those wrestling girls. I'm like, is that the girl from? Yeah, like, but no, I couldn't make it to Jobber Slam for a few reasons. That was the thing. I initially would have had a whole bunch of stuff getting in the way, and like I said, unfortunately, stuff is still getting in the way. But I might try to make a trip out there for February for my birthday because I'm turning 28, and there's nothing really to do except get older.
Nah, you gotta come out here and come to the city, do a speakeasy, have fun. It's fun out here. No, I might think of speakeasies.
That was the thing. I was there that's the first time I went there was last year. The first time ever going to New York, New Jersey was last year for the panel.
Because you guys all did you guys all go to Survivor Series?
No, I left Sunday Sunday afternoon. Yeah. I was in New York for literally like 36 hours. It was like I departed at like 11 Eastern here and then arrived and then left there 11 Eastern. It was just like legit. It was all a blur in a way. I had mixed Remy and well, not mixed, but I had a shot of Crown Royal, then had a shot of Remy after, and that did not sit well. So that was
Thank you.
But
we all said, bro. What?
That's because Gene Cena's a bad influence, but I love the man. Like,
hey, Drew, go ahead, Drew.
No, he's like he was legit like here, have some of this, and Pam's like, I don't think you want that. I'm like, I'm here to have a good time, and Gene's like, yeah, and then I'm like, 20 minutes later, I was legit like.
Yeah, that's a bad.
Like going back to my hotel room. Yeah.
that I want to be
but
like
you gotta
friend,
learn.
but that's not your
you
friend.
gotta learn from mistakes.
Yeah, even with veterans like me, very
well,
bad.
No, that was the guy. Like that was the fam's like the next day. He's like, listen, you met that man last night and you listened to him. I've known you for a year now and you didn't listen to me. What's wrong with you? I'm like, he's a nice guy. Like I like this person. Like he's again. That's just the appeal of Gene Cena. He's a one of a kind character. We can't have Gene Cena on here, but that would be amazing. That's gonna be your birthday Christmas gift. Thanks. I'm gonna find a way to get Gene Cena
get him on there.
Well, ironically, his birthday is the day before mine.
I know.
So, yeah, that'd be different.
Because in a way, it's like in another universe, he's like your father, like
type shit. And he light skinned, so there you go.
And on that note, again, thank you for joining us. Plug whatever you need to plug again, especially for something that raises mental health awareness. That's important.
If you guys follow me on the Well Minority, I'm actually gonna say hello in the comments if you guys don't mind.
Please do. So
my podcast is in production right now. I do still have the Well Minority on Instagram, Well Minority on Twitter. I'm featuring a very, very cool initiative called Black Men Cry Too. And it's a platform. Shout out to Barbie. She started a platform a few years back to showcase how important men's mental health is, especially African American men. So I did a feature on her explaining about what it entitles, like what it's about, and she just released 4th season of her own podcast series. And that's basically what I'm here for. The Well Minority is just to shout out to people that are doing the work to make sure that everyone's aware of taking care of their mental wellness. And I got a whole lot coming up. It was supposed to be small, but the wrestling community has been really like open to me, talking about their feelings, talking about like what resources they need. So it's all just coming together. It's a slow melting pot that I didn't even think could go in a pot. So shout out to everybody supporting me. And also I'm sponsoring the Those Wrestling Girls Party. They're doing their 4th year as a podcast, and their celebration is going to be in Brooklyn. So we're doing a giveaway for 2 tickets. So if you follow me on Instagram and you follow me on Twitter, don't be afraid to DM me so you could be considered for those 2 tickets.
Yeah, don't DM for the other reasons, even though those other reasons are valid.
I mean, you can. I mean, I'm not spoken for yet, so you know.
Well, that's because Banks has already made his claim in a way. I think that's what we gathered from him asking for the glasses. But you know,
is it a claim? Is it?
It is. I got you too, Steve. I'll send you the link. That's out the East Side, Steve.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Hey man, listen. Go ahead. Cause you about to start snitching some more.
Oh, now look at you being upset. No, I said you stuck your claim before I could, so I mean it is what it is.
No, it ain't. You know what I mean? Listen, I told somebody, well, a potential guest we're gonna have on later on, me and him as brothers. I think so. You feel me? He could pass.
Yeah, look at us.
Exactly. Wait, you can't say that. Only I can say that.
We have to take a picture of my dad and be like one happy family. Like I think people would buy it. They would look at my dad and look at you and be like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Y'all know how that turned out. You know how they did that, my sister.
But you can find the pod on YouTube like we are right now every single Sunday. The Twitter is at the BVD pod. Patreon, Banks versus Davis. You can follow me on Twitter at Davis, aka Drip. Instagram, daviscoltondc. Banks is on social media, but he doesn't want to be on social media, so don't follow him. He copies that from Math too, not just I'm out of here. It's don't follow me unless you're a woman, a good woman.
I follow him.
We'll see y'all a little bit later here on YouTube.
Later.
Peace.
Peace out, guys. Thanks for having me.